Live everywhere. I think we're live everywhere. It's gonna be a music beginning today because I'm obsessed with this song, everyone. All right, I think we're live. We're gonna have a little dance moment today. Welcome everyone. We're gonna take a moment to, come in, and I'm gonna play you the song that I'm obsessed with because, I don't know, we need a Wednesday music break. Welcome everyone. Let's take a moment while everyone dives in. We can dance. Debbie tuned in and I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to sing. Don't worry. We're just going to take a moment for everyone to come in on Facebook and Zoom, and we'll get started, I promise. But in the meantime, this song, I'm going to get the link. It's from a movie. It's from Ocean's 12. You know, that first scene, but this mix, and I'm obsessed. I've listened approximately a bajillion times today. And Debbie was like, are you singing? I wish I could sing like that. All right, hi everyone. I promise I'm going to turn it down shortly. But we're still having lots of people join. Amore, she said it. She said amore. Amore, she said it. All right, everyone. Thanks for indulging me. Some days you got to just do it this way. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone on Zoom, on Facebook, in the future on YouTube. Welcome to this moment. Let's arrive. Let's be here now. This is it. As I always say, put your to-do list over here, put your email over here. They will be there when we're done. Take this time for you. That would be awesome. I'm really excited to talk about our topic today, which is something we all struggle with, this I know, and it is how to get out of the story of I'm not good enough, I'm not this enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not successful enough, and how to work through it and how to work through self-doubt. So I've had a lot of requests for this topic. So here we are. That's what we're going to talk about today. A couple fun announcements first. Very excited. You guys are in for a treat. Okay, if you got obviously you get the email with reminders for the webinar, you'll know that I talked about the calendar. And as I'm picking it up, it says something about gratitude. And I was like, whoa, we didn't do our gratitude moment. Pause everything. We must start with gratitude. We must start with gratitude. That's my energy today, everyone. In the air. Take a moment, think of something you are grateful for. It can be really small. I'm really grateful that my awesome child made me some tea before this webinar. I totally forgot, and she did it. It's awesome. Sometimes kids are awesome. That's a good reminder. Take a moment, think of something you are grateful for. It can be really small, it can be big, be really specific, and please share in chat, in Zoom, and please share in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube. Debbie and I love reading your gratitudes. And as a reminder, when you share something you are grateful for, you are helping someone who might be having a really tough moment think of something they are grateful for. So your share of your gratitude is also an act of kindness. So thank you all for always so generously sharing your gratitudes. I always say this, I don't read them in real time, I glance, but then I always read the chat after that Debbie saves for me. And I love the gratitude bath I get to take after. So thank you, it's our tradition. I almost skipped it, but remembered. Okay, so as I was saying, if you get the email, obviously, that reminds you of the topic for the webinar, and many of you are on the happier email list. So you know that I shared that this year, again, I created calendars with my art on them for 2021. I've done it for the last couple of years. It's my original art that's on it. And this year I'm being really gutsy. It's my quotes, my sayings every month, and I make them to give you a piece of my heart, to give you a piece of encouragement throughout the year. So I know that on the webpage that is linked in the email, I didn't put an image of the calendar for this year, like I didn't want to ruin it, but I'm going to show it to you guys just because this community, oh my God, I love Debbie's face. Debbie just went, I have one here, and you guys are going to be the first humans in the world to see it, other than obviously my family. So Debbie is going to put, yes, drum roll. So Debbie's going to put a link in the comments if you want to grab one for yourself or family. They're inexpensive. You can't buy them anywhere else. People love getting them as gifts. I hear about it every year. So the link is in chat, but here it is. I'm going to show it to you. This is so exciting. So here's January. So first of all, it's this gorgeous, I love this company. It's called Artifact Uprising. And so it comes in this beautiful, it's a reclaimed wooden background, and you can do it as a magnet on the fridge, or it comes with this little pin so you can put it up like this on your desk, and you can change because it's really easy to take out. And it has these 12 beautiful months, and for each month it's my original artwork with a saying that I want you to have. And so it comes like this, and I don't know, I think they're pretty awesome. So this is January, so I'm not gonna like flip through every page, because people write to me throughout the year who got the calendar last year to say, oh my God, I like don't want to look ahead because like I want to open the page and like see what's new. So I'm going to do like a quick flip, but just to give you an idea of what they're like. Again, it's all the artwork that I include is art from this year. And some of the messages I hide. Some of this art I shared on Instagram, some of it I have not. Yes, we can ship internationally. It ships, again, I ship it directly from Artifact Uprising. It's all very tracked and professional and awesome, but these are the months. I love it. It's like a little slow motion flip book. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a sneak peek. I do them for joy. It's not some big like money maker for us. We sell them basically at cost, just a little, I do this to share a piece of myself with you throughout the year. I love hearing from people during the year who got one. They're like, oh my God, I love October. Oh my God, August. I sent it to my mother-in-law. I'm not responsible, by the way. I'm not responsible for anything that happens when you share these messages with your families, okay? But anyway, so lots of people have been ordering them. I just wanted to show you guys a sneak peek because this community is very special. So that's one. And then another gift for the holidays to share with you is I would love to encourage you all, and I didn't grab it with me, but to buy a copy of my book, Happier Now, for your friends, colleagues, team, anyone in your life who could use a little less stress and more joy. And as a special incentive, I will send you a signed book plate when you order one. All the info again was in the Happier email. Debbie's going to post a link in chat to request your book plate once you bought a book. And it's just my little incentive to send you a little bit something special. I sign all the book plates myself. And it's a sticker that's of course yellow and gorgeous, and it can go right inside your book. So it's like having me sign the book. So these are 2 holiday gifts that I'm so excited to share with you all, and I hope you share them with your people you love in your life. And because I cannot help it, because I'm the worst at holding secrets, and I kind of talked about it last week a little bit, but next week I'm going to share a lot more about the big gift that we have created that we hope you give yourself, and that is a year of no guilt self-care. It's an unprogram for 2021. I'm calling it an unprogram because program is boring. But it's something really unique that we've cooked up that we're going to make a big announcement next week. Please make sure you subscribe to the Happier email. I'll talk more about it here. And it's essentially, if I could invite you all into my living room, dining room, which is what this is, and have really fun, energizing experiences together, like doing some art and some self-care rituals and some fun cooking and other stuff. I don't want to blast all the surprises. That's what I would do, but I can't do that. So we're going to do that virtually. So it's going to be something really unique, and we'll share more in the upcoming emails. So make sure you subscribe to Happier emails. You just go to happier.com and subscribe. I write them all myself, as Debbie and all of you know. And it's the best way to stay in touch on all this kind of stuff. Okay, so that's like a super quick sneak peek. Yeah, before we dive into, it's kind of a fun, weird shift from this to let's talk about self-doubt, but we gotta do the work. We gotta do the inner work so we can feel more awesome. So before we do that, quick hello to Debbie in New York, and then we'll dive in. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Natalie. So before I do some welcomes, I want to ask you 2 questions. The first is, will you tell everybody what a book plate is?
Oh yeah, good question.
And also, actually the other one is just knowing that there's newcomers.
Debbie, people are saying they can't hear you, which is funny because I can. Huh.
Well, answer that question and I'll figure it out.
Okay, so the question was, and I can see it in chat. Yeah, people are saying it's too muffled. So it's not that they can't hear it all. So a book plate, and by the way, I didn't know this either, you all, until I became an author. That's fun to say, until I became an author. It's a sticker, and it's really like a high quality sticker. It goes into your book, you can stick it because the book is hardcover, so you can just stick it in. And it's something I sign. So if we met and you had your book with me, I would sign it for you. I can't meet you all, not all of you, but it is my goal to meet many of you at some point. So I send you a sticker and it's gorgeous. And I sign it and you get to put it inside your book. So that is what a book plate is. And I sign them and I send them to you. And just because I can't help myself, there's always a little surprise that comes with the book plate. While Debbie's figuring her sound, I have to answer a question that like 5 of you have gotten. What are these earrings? I love it that I'm like trendsetter. So I found them on Etsy. I can't remember the name of the shop anymore, but they are mismatched on purpose and it brings me joy. And therefore I share them with you. And today, I don't know when the last time we saw sun here in Boston. So today is color day, as you can see. So yes, so those are book plates. So if you've bought, people are also asking me, I bought your book before. Can I get a book plate? Yes, you can get a book plate if you bought my book before, but I hope you can grab, give Happier Now as a gift. And then Debbie will share links again, how you can request a book plate, and I will joyfully send it to you. Just so we'll figure out sound later, I just want to, because a lot of people are asking lots of questions, I want to jump into the topic. Debbie, do you want to try your sound one more time? And then if not, I'll do a little welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Natalie. How am I now?
Okay, I think better.
Terrific. Thanks, everybody, for letting me know that I was muffled. And welcome, everybody. We're so glad you're here today. And I love getting to say hello to you all and to welcome newcomers. We have hundreds of new people who sign up every week, and we're so glad you're here. And for you who are new and everyone, please ask your questions about the topic or anything like Natalie's earrings in the chat or below in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I'm going to be monitoring the chat the whole time. And so you're not going to interrupt or interfere with Natalie talking if you pop your question right when you have it. And there will be time for questions at the end. So I'll be funneling those to Natalie. And so the more you're asking them as you have them, the more I can organize them and get the very most questions to her at the end of our time today. And then lastly, just know that everybody who signed up for this through the Zoom link will get a recording of today's session, and you can share it with other people. And I think that's that for now, Natalie. It's so great to see you today, post-holiday.
Post-holiday, that's right. I didn't know, and I'm like, wait, what holiday? Oh, Thanksgiving. That seems like a long time ago. It really wasn't. By the way, thanks everyone who was here last week. Thank you for being such a family. We had, if you weren't, it was my husband's birthday, and we surprised him, which was kind of like fun because I don't have a big house, and like I've mentioned it to Mia, so I wasn't sure if he heard us, but it was a total surprise. It was awesome. So thank you for being here and indulging our little family celebration. Okay, let's talk about how to stop thinking you're not good enough. And I was going to say, let's talk about this hard topic. It is hard, but when we shed light, my teacher, my spiritual teacher, who I know I've mentioned a lot, and I write a lot about her in the book, by the way, for those of you who are buying new copies. Her name is Janet. She always tells me, when we shed light on something hard, it shows us a way to work on it. We can't do it unless we shed light on it. So let's shed light on doubt and thinking we're not good enough, and let's find together ways to work through it. So the first thing I want to say is, I think I already mentioned, I've had a lot of requests for this topic, and I want to start there because I think it's really important to acknowledge that we all have this sense of like inadequacy in a way that we carry. I think we gather it up in our childhoods. One of my favorite authors on this topic is Alfred Adler. He is a contemporary of Freud together with Jung. We don't hear about him a lot, but he's kind of my hero. And he talks a lot about, he kind of looks at our life's journey as a way to fill that inadequacy that we start to feel when we're children, because, we get a good grade, our parents get excited, and somewhere subconsciously our brain is like, oh yeah, I need to earn the right to feel like I'm good enough. And so we kind of carry that. So we all have this sense, and I have this sense, right? And people get really surprised when I tell them that yes, I feel often that I am not enough. And people get, oh my God, hold on. That doesn't make any sense. You seem so confident. You're so successful. Hopefully we're all learning to that on the outside things can get a lot shinier than they are on the inside. And I might have shared this before, but just for the sake of, I always try to be really honest and open with you all. My not enoughness mostly comes in the flavor of, you are not original enough. My brain loves to go, you're not original enough. This stuff that you're teaching, a lot of people have already said this. Don't people already know all this? You're not saying anything new or unique. That's what my brain sounds like. Okay. We all have that inner voice. So I don't know if it reminded anyone's of their brain. My brain literally sounds that way when it does that. So that's my not enoughness that I experience. Alfred Adler is the name. Debbie put it in chat. Thank you. Some of you are asking. He's incredible. I often feel like I'm channeling him, if that makes sense. So we all have this. One thing I learned, so as you all know, I am gonna do an art moment in a little bit. I do have a piece of art to show you today. But I love to read about artists. And did you know that Van Gogh, I mean, one of the greatest artists ever, a genius. Do you know that for decades, he would write to his brother and he would say, I am awful at color. Van Gogh, the greatest colorist, in my opinion, I know some people think it's Bonnard. I disagree. I think it's Van Gogh. One of the greatest colorists and artists of all time thought that his colors were not good enough. He thought his palette was not good enough. Think about that, okay? Like the next time that the not enoughness comes up for you, think about that. It really helps me because it reminds me that we all share this. So, okay. We all have this. Now, what do we do? So before I share some really specific practices, because that's what I always do. You guys can't get away from that. Someone said to me in an email the other day, I got a gratitude email from someone who was actually talking about these webinars and they learned something that really helped them resolve an issue at work. And they said, you know, you're awesome, but it's not easy stuff. It's not just like an affirmation. You like give us stuff to do. And it's like the person said for a while, I wasn't really doing any of it. I was just listening. And then I did one of the practices and it really like changed things. So yes, real inner education and real like change of our inner relationship with ourselves takes work. So I will share some inner work for you. But before we do that, I want to remind you, and this is probably something I've been saying in every webinar, and if I have, that's awesome. You are not your thoughts. You are in charge of your brain. Your brain will offer you all kinds of thoughts, some of them helpful, some of them not. You have a choice. You can either believe the thought and go along with it. So you can, when your brain goes, you are not enough, you're not good enough, you're not successful enough, you're not smart enough, you're not original enough, you can be like, yes, great, I'm not enough. And you can absorb that and you can let that block you and you can let you struggle, or you can choose to work through it. That is your choice. If this sounds unpleasant, I'm sorry, but you do have agency over your life. You do have a choice. I want to, a lot of people have been emailing me about this because I think I mentioned it a couple of webinars ago. There is a really big difference between feelings and thoughts. And I want to highlight it now because it's really important. A feeling like you feel sad or you feel worried or you feel tired. A feeling is a feeling. Feelings are inputs. Do not judge your feelings. We don't have control over our feelings. Do not stuff your feelings down. Do not try to be like, I never want to feel difficult things. I want to feel good things. A feeling is an input. Learn from a feeling. Accept the feeling. Feel the feelings. You know, a lot of times psychologists, they don't understand why we feel certain things. They're not that predictable. Your thoughts, you do have a choice of. You do have control over. That is what I'm talking about. So your feelings arise and you learn from them. You feel them, you accept them. Your thoughts, you can choose. You can choose to shift your thoughts. And it is it may be One of the top 2 lessons that changed my life when I was in a really dark place, which I've shared and kind of started on this journey of creating this method for myself that I share with you, just recognizing that I have a choice of what thoughts my brain thinks, of what thoughts I believe, of what thoughts I shift. And so I don't think any single human in the world would say that thinking I am not good enough, I'm not this enough is helpful. How does that help? It doesn't help. It never does. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help anyone in your life. And so those are thoughts that I'm talking about shifting. So let's talk about a couple of really tangible ways to do that. For the regulars, either on these webinars or who followed my work, I hope this will not come as a surprise, but the first practice is to practice the 2 steps of acceptance. And I am going to walk you through them. And as I always say, if you hear the word acceptance and you go, oh no, like that's a thing where you're like, whatever happens, happens, however things are, that is not it. It is the opposite. Okay. The skill of acceptance is to look at how things are and how you feel with clarity instead of judgment or believing in the story that your brain has created, and then using that clarity to decide how to move forward. So I want to talk about really specifically how to use these 2 steps of acceptance to work through the I am not good enough, I am not this enough, whatever. And I actually want you all I'm not going to ask you, actually, I maybe am, if you want. I want you to think of, focus in, zoom in on what is the not enoughness that your brain tells you a lot about. And if you are courageous enough, if you feel like it, you do not have to. I would love to see some in chat. What are the self-doubt thoughts that your brain offers you? What does your brain tell you you are not enough of? I think it will be cathartic, healing if we would share. You do not have to, just if you feel like it. But even if you are not sharing, I want you to thank you, Patricia, for being first to go. Not technical enough. Yes. Actually, I can relate to that. When I was at Microsoft, I was managing a team of developers. It was like every 5 seconds. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I am going to share the steps in a minute, but I encourage you, if you're on Zoom, to take a look in chat, because I think that it's really healing to see that we are not, why would I be so special as to start a company? Yes, I'm not lovable enough. I'm never good enough at my job. Yes, I'm not good enough to get another job. I'm not good enough to be a leader, to become a leader. I feel all these, and I'm really, really grateful. I'm not a good mom, not skinny enough. Never get caught up at work, not enough to get a new job. Yeah, I think I'm grateful in this moment for your courage to share these. And I encourage you all, when you read others, to recognize, to just connect to that sense that we're not alone in this. Thank you for sharing this. It's really powerful. I really appreciate it. I know it takes courage to type it. So think of your not good enoughness that your brain is telling you about as I walk you through these steps. So again, the first is, and this is like a pre-step, a preparation before you go into acceptance. Remind yourself that you have a choice. You have a choice. You can either believe the stories your brain is telling you, or you can shift. So unless you make that choice, unless you are ready and courageously willing to make that choice, the next steps aren't going to make any sense. So that's the first inner power to step into. So let's now talk about the 2 steps of acceptance. The first is looking at things with clarity, which is focusing on the facts, things you know to be true, versus believing in the story your brain has told you, judgment, drama, all this stuff. I'm drawing this bubble because mostly it's this. So, well, let's take my example. Let's do it, because I wouldn't be true to everything I teach. So my brain often says, oh my God, Natalie, you're not original enough. All these things you teach, everyone knows this already. People have talked about this for ages, like you're not original enough. Okay, let's take this one. So what do I know to be true? If I apply the lens of acceptance, what do I know to be true? Well, it's really important to get specific when you do this practice, like to get out of the amorphousness of this story. So let's get really specific. First, what does it mean I'm not original enough? Original enough compared to what? Even when I ask that question, I don't know the answer. I don't have a fact for that question. What does it mean I'm not original? I don't know. So I have to tell you, honestly, as I'm doing this right now, I'm literally doing this in real time. I don't have a fact to support the I'm not original enough because I don't even know what that means. I think it's really important to also, as part of this, not take yourself like 100% seriously, because I'm smiling right now. Like I can't control it because like, what does it mean I'm not original enough? Compared to who? What does it mean, right? So get really specific, but then let's really like focus on the facts. Every day I hear from people who tell me that something I have shared helps them. Okay, that is a fact. So for them, it is helpful in some way. Now let's look at the story. My brain has created a story that other people have said everything I am saying. I don't know this to be true. How do I know this to be true? How do I know that other people have not only said everything I'm teaching, but that all of you know it? How do I know that to be true? I do not. So that is a story. That is not true. And I really, really, really feel that it's important. Create a column, like take a piece of paper. I will show you guys my notes for the session. Here they are. Take a piece of paper, divide it into 2 columns and write facts, story, according like in your good enoughness. Okay. Facts, story. And I want you to put facts that support it and then the story. And I am willing, this is like your Natalie guarantee right now. Your facts column is going to be really short. If you're really honest that they're facts, they cannot be a story. They cannot be stuff you think other people think about you. That is a story. That is not a fact. So the facts column is going to be shorter, and the story column, or what you think other people think, is going to be really long. I really implore you to do this. If you do this exercise and you send me a photo of your 2 columns, I mean it, or you post it on Instagram and you tag me, Natalie Kogan, I'm going to send you a signed copy of my book. I just decided this. If you do this exercise and you take a photo of your not enoughness and then facts you know to be true, story your brain has created, if you send me a photo of this exercise, I will send you a signed copy of my book. If you have one, you can give it away, because I really want you to do this and I really want to see it. So that is the first step of acceptance. And when you do this, honestly, honesty is really important. And again, the column about the facts cannot include, I think other people think. That is, you do not know what other people think. That is not a fact. Imagine you're like, being deposed or you're giving testimony. Hearsay is not accepted. You cannot think like, oh, I'm not a good leader because I don't think my team thinks that. The minute you are in other people's thoughts, that's a story. Facts are things you know to be true. So do this as you're beginning. How do you send me your photos? I love that you're asking. team@happier.com, Natalie@happier.com, or tag me on Instagram. Those are 3 ways. Debbie will put it in chat. I really, really, really want to see your columns. Fact, story, fact, story. Okay, that's your first step. The second step, so now that you have clarity that there aren't that many facts that support the story, that's always the case for me, and that there's, a lot of story that your brain has told you, you do the second step of acceptance. You ask yourself, given like the reality that my brain is telling me the story, that I don't have a lot of facts to support it, like given reality, the clarity, what is the next best thing I can do to move forward? And I will tell you what it is for me every single time. For me, it is to talk back to my brain and to remind my brain to, instead of the I am not enough, the I focus, to shift into connecting to my bigger why, which is to connect to my sense of purpose, my sense of meaning for what I am doing. And every time I do that, and I am going to ask you to do this as your second part of your practice, every time I do that, I feel freer. Like that fog that the brain has created with the not enoughness, it's not gone necessarily, but it's way more in the background. And so I want to talk about your bigger why for a moment, because I want to get really specific about what that means. We kind of throw this term around, bigger why, but what does it mean to have meaning? So meaning, purpose and meaning, I use them interchangeably. I just wrote this in my new book that I'm working on. I wrote that I'm going to use them interchangeably. And I said, you know what? I am sure there are psychologists who will disagree with me, but guess what? I am not a psychologist. So I'm going to be a rebel and I'm going for it. Meaning and purpose, I'm using them interchangeably. There are minute differences between them. What does it mean to have meaning and purpose? Meaning and purpose transcend you and the present moment. What it means is they are bigger than you. They are contributing to someone else, something bigger than you. And meaning is more than just this moment. It's longer lasting. So think of it, it transcends you, which means usually it's helping someone else or contributing to something bigger than you. And it transcends time. It's more lasting. It's more than just in this moment. And so that is what it means to have meaning. And most of us derive a sense of meaning when we tap into our strengths, our skills, our virtues, and we share them with others in some way. Most of us derive meaning that way. And so the skill of the bigger why is to connect what you are doing day to day, your job, the stuff you're doing as a leader, the stuff you're doing at work, the stuff you're doing for your family, to connect that to how does this honor my meaning? How does this fuel my sense of meaning? So how does it help others? How does it contribute to others? How does it fuel a longer term goal that I have, right? Again, meaning transcends you and this time. And when you do this as your second step after you do the acceptance practice, you shift into what's called, and this is now correct psychological term. I love when I yep, did it. Not a psychologist, but I'm using the right terms. It shifts you into a more pro-social mindset. What does it mean? Pro-social mindset is when you are focused on how what you're doing helps others. And research shows that when we are pro-social, we are more motivated, we are more resilient, we are kinder, we have more energy, we're more creative, more productive. I can keep going. And so when you connect to your bigger why, so let's just take an example again. Let's take my example. So I'm grateful because my bigger why is very clear to me. My bigger why is that every single thing I do, from these webinars to the sessions I do for companies, to the calendars I create, to the year of no guilt self-care, we're doing every single thing. I do it for only one reason, because it helps you. It helps awesome humans in the world. That helps people struggle less. It helps you thrive more. I'm very clear about my bigger why. And when I start, so as part of my practice, instead of, oh, I'm not original enough, which is like, okay, you can hear it in my voice, like, okay, and here I am. I practice acceptance. And as a second step, I connect to, well, why am I doing this? I do this because it helps people. I shift out of the me focus. Oh, I am not original. People think I'm not original. And into the you focus, and into the other focus, and into the how can I contribute focus. And that gets me out of the trap. I'm out of the trap. In that moment, I am free. I am free from the fog, the obstacle that my brain has created. So much of what we're talking about, so much of this is doing the inner work to clear out the traps your brain sets, the stories it tells you, so you can have a focused, clear mindset, and you can actually do the work. You can actually bring out all of what you want to share with the world. And so these are the steps that I really, really, really want you to practice. So again, the steps of acceptance, the first is separate facts. What do you know to be true from the story your brain has created? And remember, anytime you're like, oh, other people think blah, 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 that is not a fact. You do not know what people think. So that goes in the story column. Do that first. And then your second step of acceptance is, given how things are, given that my brain keeps giving me these thoughts, what is the next best thing I can do? And as your next best step, I really encourage you to connect to your bigger why, which very specifically means, how does what you are doing in your work, in your family, et cetera, how does that connect to your sense of purpose, which means how does it help others? How does it contribute to others in some way? And how maybe it contributes to a goal, a longer term goal that you have. And you have to do these steps. It's not enough to just listen to me now. It's not enough to like think about them. You have to actually do this work. And you will notice the voice of the not enough will get quieter, because at the same time that your brain does throw these traps all the time, these mental traps and the fog and the stories, it also can become a really great friend. You can make your brain your servant. I've shared this quote before. I love it. And that is that your brain is a terrible master but a great servant. I'm going to say it again. Your brain is a terrible master, but a great servant. So left to its own devices, no good. I mean, come on. Do you realize that this whole time I've been talking, you can see how passionate I am about this topic. Half the time you have been ignoring me. Your brain, half the time, was ignoring me. 50% of the time, our brain is not focused on what we're doing. So 50% of the time you were ignoring me. Okay, I'm not going to take it personally, just a little. Okay, not really. So just an example of how when your brain is left to its own devices, it is not very helpful and it can really be damaging and can cause so much struggle. This is the topic my next book is all about, of how to practice emotional fitness skills to help you struggle less, because the brain gets in the way. But when you do the inner work, when you shift, when you take control, you can shift your thoughts. You can make your brain your servant. This is the work that we are doing. This is the work that we're doing together. So I really, really implore you to do these practices. I already have lots of questions. I know there's lots of questions. So I'm gonna try to leave more time for questions today than usual. So if you have a question, please put it in the Q&A or in chat. Debbie is gonna help facilitate. And before we go to questions, and I have a couple more things I wanna share with you, I got a couple of reminders to not forget to do my art moment. I love it. I love that the regulars you're used to. So if you're new, I always share a piece of art. I paint for Joy. One of them is back there. This is her regular spot. That's not the one I'm going to show you. You've seen her. She's called Bold Joy. But I'm going to show you a piece of art. So we're going to take a walk for this one because it's big. And then I'll take questions. Well, I have one more thing to say, and then I'll take questions. So this actually is a good story. So you see my setup, see? The secret setup. It's not that secret. Okay, so this painting I'm going to show you, actually it's a story. So I did it a couple months ago and I hated it. I was like, ugh, okay. And I put it downstairs in the basement. I was going to chuck it, but the canvas is too big, so it's hard to throw out. And then yesterday I woke up super early, didn't sleep a lot. I was super cranky, like, ugh. And I was like, okay, I need to do some art. It was like 5:30 in the morning. And I went to the basement to get a new canvas. And I saw it and I was like, ooh, maybe I can change it completely. So it's a work in progress, but let's see if we can see it. Okay, here they are. Ooh, that's not very good lighting, is it? Let's see what we can do. Okay, this will be a little better. So it's really big. It's really hard to show. I'm like, whoo, okay, there we are. So just to give you an idea, this is all, and it's kind of a funny color, but this is all a new layer. So there were other colors. I don't know, it'd be fun to show you. It's really thick. Ooh, this is fun. It's really thick. I use these oil sticks, but it was a totally different layer underneath. I feel like a Van Gogh who reuses canvases. And these are, I guess, sunflowers, but kind of funky sunflowers. So this is my joy for you for the week. It smells really good like oil paint. I know, I'm so weird. I love the smell of oil paint. By the way, if you do a year of no guilt self-care with me, we're going to make some art together and I'm going to show you when I paint and you're going to get to hang out with me in this room where we'll do some creativity together. So little teaser, Debbie's going to show a link for a year of no guilt self-care in chat. Like, we haven't told that many people about it. I'm not even supposed to be telling you about it, but I am, because it's exciting. All right, that's my art for the day. A story, moral of the story is, one, sometimes you need time. You're like working on something, you need to take some time. Recipe, house decoration, yourself, you need to take some time and then maybe come back to it and you see something new in it. The other moral of the story is, when you wake up and you're not feeling great, see if there's something you can do, small or big or whatever, to just fuel yourself in some way. That's like self-care. That's self-care. Self-care is a skill of fueling your emotional, mental, and physical energy. That was really helpful to me to do yesterday. Okay, I have lots of questions. I know there's questions in Q&A. I want to say a couple quick things and then we'll take questions. So a lot of you are asking me to repeat the quote. Yes, Debbie just put the link to a year of no guilt self-care in chat. You guys are like the first ones to get the link. I mean it. By the way, I know there's lots of folks here who have teams and colleagues. If you want to buy 3 or more spots for a year of no guilt self-care for your colleagues, your team, your friends, we have a super duper special deal. It's not even on the website. Email us at team@happier.com. That's all I can say about that. Okay. A lot of you are asking me to say that quote again. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it again and again and again. It's a quote we need reminders about. Your brain is a terrible master, but a great servant. So left to its own devices, remember your brain's number one job is what? It's not to make you happy. It's not to make you feel good. Your brain's number one job is to keep you safe from danger. That is all that it cares about, which, by the way, I should just mention is another reason it introduces a lot of self-doubt when you're doing something challenging, like building, doing everything I'm doing, sharing myself, like writing books, doing talks, like trying to get my message to millions of people in the world. It's really hard. My brain introduces self-doubt because it's afraid of the challenge. It's afraid. Because in challenge, your brain sees only danger because your brain is looking for danger. That is what your brain does because it needs to protect you. So that's another reason why you feel self-doubt when you're doing something new or going. So many of you wrote that, oh, I'm not good enough to get a new job. Recognize that the not good enoughness is coming from your brain is afraid of this new challenge. It doesn't know how to protect you. And so your brain is a terrible master, but it is a great servant. When you do the inner work, when you do these practices, when you shift your mindset and take control of your thoughts, your brain becomes your friend. And it's awesome, but you need to do the work. So one more thing I want to just kind of close with and then take your questions. And that is, please recognize that every single thought that you have, it either fuels your energy or it drains it. Nothing is free. That was a huge lesson for me. It's almost like when I look back at, most of my life before I went through my, burnout and breakdown and learned these things for myself that I share with you. It's almost like I spent most of my life, I'm a doubt and berating myself and harshness. It's like, I thought that was like, it didn't matter. Well, your mindset is everything. Your thoughts, every single thought, just like a conversation with another person, it either drains you or it fuels you. And it is your responsibility. No one else can do this. I can't do this for you. No one can do this for you. It is your responsibility to decide what it is that you want. Do you want thoughts that fuel you, that help you be more awesome, a greater leader, a better colleague, better for your family, better friend, more awesome artist, more original thinker? Do you want those thoughts? Well, then you have to do the work. Or do you want to get stuck? Do you want thoughts that make you feel like crap? That is a choice that we have. And it's really, really, really important to recognize that you do have the choice. And I also, one of my kind of honest reflections, I share this in my new book. Most of my life, I pretended I didn't have that choice. I played victim to my thoughts. I was like, oh, well, this is how it is. No, my women in my family always think this way. And I was wrong. You have the agency. You can shift your thoughts. You have to choose to do the work. Okay, that's your Natalie pep talk to end the teaching part. Let's take some questions, Debbie. I see lots of bubbles.
There are lots of bubbles and some really terrific questions. And I'm going to start with a really specific one, which is there a way to counter the negative, heavy feeling in addition to talking to the brain? Or would talking to the brain alone, is that expected to make the feeling subside? So
I'll tell you this, without talking back to your brain, you can't make the feeling go away. You have to shift the thought. But there's a couple other things that can also really help. If you are really, really feeling weighed down by it, which happens, you may need to get a talking to with love from a friend. You may need to remind yourself from the outside that you're stuck in the story. So when I am really stuck in the I'm not original enough, I talk to Debbie, or I tell Avi, or I tell my best friend Sharon. You'll see me. I'll do it on Instagram. By the way, if we're not BFFs on Instagram, let's be BFFs on Instagram. I'm doing something fun. I don't even know if Debbie saw it yet. I started writing these Dear Awesome Human letters, because I'm writing them in my book, and people love them. So in the month of December, this is my own version of the Advent calendar. My gift to you is every day in December, I'm going to write a Dear Awesome Human letter to you on Instagram, 31 letters. The first one is up today. So Natalie Kogan on Instagram. So when I'm really like feel the heaviness of that, and I talking back to my brain is like, it's not like getting enough. I'll share what I'm feeling with others, and I'll be reminded. And so sometimes you have to go outside of yourself. And the other thing I really encourage you to do, we're going to do this as part of No Guilt Self-Care Year. So I'm not going to tell you all the details, but create a way in your life. I'm going to tell you one way that I do this, to have reminders to snap out of the story. So I have a folder to document actually on Google Drive. It's called Love and Inspiration. We're going to do something else. We're going to create a box of kindness as part of our year of No Guilt Self-Care. But in my Love and Inspiration document, I have some emails that I've gotten, texts, Instagram messages from people who've told me how my work has impacted them, quotes that inspire me. And when I'm really stuck, that's where I go. So you also sometimes need something to just help you lift out of it. It's a great question.
Okay, Natalie. Can you share with us just some thoughts about how long you struggled before learning that you could do something about it?
Okay, so I'm grateful to be able to be open about it. I just want to tell you, everyone's journey is different. So I am turning 45 on December 29th. We're going to have a party, you guys. I don't know what day of the week that falls on, but whatever that week's webinar, I hope you are here. It's going to be awesome. And I'll have gifts because it brings me joy to gifts. So I'm turning 45 this month. Well, that feels kind of big. I don't know. Okay, let's just, I will say that for most of my life, so until I was in my early 40s, I didn't have any of the awareness I'm sharing with you now. People ask me like, oh, when did you burn out? It was kind of a rolling thing. And then I'd say the darkest years, the hardest years for me were kind of 37 through 40-ish, 41. I was in a very bad place. So most of my life, I spent not just struggling, but having no awareness that I could shift, having no sense of responsibility that I could do it. This is why I do the work that I do. This is why I talk about emotional fitness as a skill. And this is why I am literally dedicating my life to teaching you these skills in every which way. Because when we recognize these are skills, we can practice, and we do have agency and we can shift. So for, I don't know, 41 of the 45 years, I lived in constant struggle, and I did great things from a lot of that time. I don't want to undermine that, but internally it was all struggle because I did not recognize that I can shift. I did not recognize that I have these skills that I could practice. It was only when I was at the end of the rope that I started to do this inner education and put myself through the method that I share with all of you. But the thing I just want to say, because I'm going to guess that there's probably some of you who are listening right now who may feel like you're really stuck in that dark place. And the thing that I want to tell you, if you know my work, if you followed me, I said this at the beginning, like, you're not going to get some like simple affirmation from me. It's just, it doesn't resonate for me. So I'm not going to tell you like, oh, just keep going. It's really hard. But I do want to tell you this, every single tiny step you take matters. Every single time you practice, it makes a difference. That I will stand behind. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be quick, because it's not. I'm not going to promise some transformation. That's not what I do. You are doing inner work, but I will tell you that every single time you do these practices, every single time you do it, it makes a difference. So the answer is to just keep doing the doing.
So, Natalie, speaking of keep doing the doing, someone's really curious about when you started painting. Talk about a daily journey and a leap.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's all connected, as we may all energetically feel, as I know some of you know. So I wanted to paint my whole life. I grew up in Russia, as you may not know. And in Russia, I used to, like, we would go to museums all the time because, like, there wasn't a lot of food or freedom. So art, I grew up with a lot of art. I've always wanted to paint, and I never let myself ever because the voice in my head said, what does painting have to do with becoming a successful professional? What does it have to do with your career? What does it have to do with being a great leader? What does it have to do with taking care of your family? Nothing. It's an indulgence. You don't deserve it. Don't do it. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. This was on auto replay for a really long time. And I never painted. The only time I did paint, and if you were here when I did an interview with JJ, a musician from Japan, who I met when I was studying in Japan, who was my boyfriend at the time. Some of you wrote to me after that, was like, oh my God, I didn't realize till the end you guys dated. Yeah, we reconnected during the pandemic. He lives in Japan with his family. But I said on that webinar that when I went to study abroad in Japan in college, I did paint. I painted Japanese sumie, which, like, if you've seen black bamboo, that's a kind of Japanese painting. So I painted there because, like, no, it was a secret. No one could know. But otherwise, I never let myself paint, because what did it have to do with, you know, becoming successful, taking care of my family? And it was when I was going through my really dark time, through my breakdown, that my teacher said to me that she wanted me to start doing something that was just for me, which I thought was the most absurd request ever in the history of the world. I was like, what do you mean? But I'm like this failure. Like, everything is, my life is on hold because I failed as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a woman, and I'm so pathetic, and I don't deserve blah, 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 nonstop. And she would just sit there and she'd be like, I am asking you to do something that is just for you. And the first thing I thought of was painting. And so it was my 40th birthday that year. And my best friend, Sharon, said to me, okay, you know, and I was like, yeah, everything in my life is upside down. She said, okay, do this thing for yourself. And so for my 40th birthday, I decided to go to Tuscany to paint. It was always my dream to paint in Tuscany. I don't know why, you all. People ask me, where did I get this? You know that movie Under the Tuscan Sun with Diane Lane? Great movie. She does not paint in that movie, but somehow, like, the vision of her, and like, I had this vision of myself, like, flowy white dress, big hat, painting in Italy. I don't know. So I was like, okay, my life is like, everything is awful. I feel awful. I don't know what the future looks like. I'm turning 40. So I booked myself on a watercolor workshop in Tuscany. You should always read the details, because it was me and 12 professional watercolor artists in their 70s from London or the UK. That was fun because I had never done watercolor. It was great because I was such a beginner, and mostly they made fun of my American accent, which, as a refugee to whom English is a second language, it's awesome when people make fun of your American accent. But that was it. I came back and I have never stopped painting since. I do it for joy. I've never had a lesson. I do it for joy. It brings me joy. I share it with people. And the thing that I want to tell you is that making art not only was a part of my healing, but it helped my family heal. And it's helped so many people since, because when you do what brings you joy, you share that joy with others, whether it's in visual form like art or in your energy. And we've even, like, now it's come into my work. Like, I've painted on stage. We've done creativity workshops. By the way, if you are listening and you run a team or part of a company, one thing this is totally a pitch. I've been doing these watercolor and well-being workshops. We did some at Google, at other companies. We talk about self-care, we talk about creativity, and then we do some watercolor together. It's such a gift to offer to your colleagues and employees right now. People are really starved for that kind of just creating something and self-care. So it's seeped into my work, and now I share with all of you. And it's, yeah, it's one of the biggest lessons I've learned about the fact that when you do something that brings you joy, the benefits ripple so much bigger than you. So thanks for letting me share that.
Okay, so Natalie, I'm going to share a link in just a moment about where you can find out more about our Power of Creativity workshops, because I know people want to know. And let's see. Thanks for answering about the painting. That's just so inspiring for all of us to hear. And, you know, someone is wondering how do you find your bigger why or meaning? The person feels like they don't have a purpose.
This is great, because it's a great question, because this is something I really pride myself on. So for all the not enoughness, Let's honor those moments of pride. I really pride myself on making this really specific because like whoever's asking this question, I also thought for a long time that like my sense of meaning is somewhere out there and I have to go find it and I don't know what it is. You have it. It's right there in your life. Every single one of you has a sense of purpose. The way to connect to it is to look at the daily things you're doing. Look at your to-do list. This is a practice. It's in my first book. It's going in my next book. I teach it as part of every session I do on the Bigger Why for companies and leaders and teams, because it is so important. This is your practice. I call it a to-do list makeover. So whether you feel like you have a sense of purpose and you want to connect to it more, or you don't feel you have one, look at your to-do list, pick a couple of to-dos and ask yourself, who does this help? And answer the question. Does this help someone in your family? Does this help someone at work? Does it help your team? Does it help your organization? Does it help you grow in some way? Does it help you learn in some way? Does it help a goal that you have in some way, right? Someone said to me the other day, like, how does exercising, what is my bigger why for exercising? Because we were talking about how I could help. This was a woman leader who's part of one of our leadership groups. And she said, you know, I just can't seem to stick to like my exercise commitment. And we talked about the bigger why. And she was like, exercising, what's my bigger why? And I said, tell me how you feel after you've exercised. She's like, oh, I feel awesome, actually. You know, and like my kids are like, we all like do more fun together. I have more energy. I said, well, who does it help when you have more energy? And she was like, oh, my kids and my husband. And then she just went on and on. She was like, wait, actually, on days when I exercise, when I do my team meeting, people have been saying I'm more energized. And she was like, that's it. So your bigger why, you have it. You have every single one. To be alive is to have a sense of purpose. Your being here has a sense of purpose. So connect to it by looking at things that you do and asking yourself, who does this help? How does this contribute to someone other than me? How does it help a longer term goal? That is your sense of meaning. So do your to-do list makeover. We have time for one more question because Debbie tells me she has one good question.
I'm going to ask you two in one. The first one is, do we have plans to continue doing the Wednesday webinars in 2021? And how did you and I meet? Can you do that quick?
I can do that quick. Okay, the first is, the short answer is yes. Do you guys want us to? I don't know. Was that a question of like, meh, or like, yeah, I'm really excited. So let's do a show of hands and comments. Should we keep going? I love it because we need the fuel. It's a big commitment. I love making it, but it's a big commitment. Yes, we plan on doing them. By the way, fun story. Oh, I guess you guys don't care. No one's saying yes. I'm just kidding. Thank you all for the support. Yes, we're going to keep going, but a fun story. When Boston and New York went into lockdown in March, it was like middle of March, we had a conversation driven by our bigger why to say, what can we do to help our community? Like, and I remember actually, Debbie, don't know if you remember, it was like, well, this is gonna, you know, it's gonna be a couple hard weeks. I remember saying that it's gonna be a couple hard weeks. What can we do? So we thought, oh, let's do this webinar and share some of the skills. The first one is still on my YouTube channel. Debbie, if you would put a link to my YouTube channel. You should all subscribe to my YouTube channel, A, because it's awesome, B, because I share a new video there every week. Last week, my video was about working parent guilt and how to get through it. But also the recordings go on there. So the first recording is still there and we did it. It was amazing. We had like 1,200 people. I talked about emotional health skills for uncertainty and we thought we would do a couple. Do you know what number this is? Number 37. This is our 37th session and we're both really grateful to be of service and help to you. But yes, we're going to keep going. We're all going to need support for a long time, even with the vaccines, which go science, hopefully. How did Debbie and I meet? Well, we should have met in New York because Debbie lives in New York. I used to live directly across the street from her. No joke, directly across the street on 73rd Street for years. Well, we didn't meet. I mean, we might have seen each other, but that's when we should have met. But we met, it's going to be almost 3 years ago when a friend, not a close friend of either of ours, but a friend who had met Debbie sent an email. I'm part of this, I don't know, creative entrepreneur kind of circle. And she said, oh, I know this great woman. She's, you know, starting to think about her next thing. She's really great at working with like creative powerhouses. moment of pride. I consider myself one, even with all my not enoughness. You can be proud of yourself and feel awesome and still have the not enough voice. That's actually a really good reminder. So I said, oh, interesting. And Debbie and I tried to schedule a call and it like did not work for months. It was like we kept missing each other. And then when the time was right, on a very, 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 very cold day, it was like 20 degrees in Boston, Debbie came up. We met in my favorite coffee shop, which is no longer Debbie, which is very sad. No more Holy. I know, really sad. Yeah, it's called Holy Grain. We met and that was it. So that's the story, which I love to get to tell. I love, love, love. Oh, thank you all for this session. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for being so open. All the links are in chat and they will be in your follow-up email that comes tomorrow. The link to the No Guilt Self-Care Unprogram. And again, if you want to buy more than 3 of those for your team or your family, your friends, email us at team@happier because we have special deals. The calendar link. Here it is. By the way, this is Mia's. I had to like pry it out of her room. She always gets the first copy. The signed book plates, I'll put all those links. They're all in chat. I'll put them all in the email. Please do your practice. Practice acceptance. Practice connecting to your bigger why. Talk back to your brain. I'll see you all next week. Oh, fun. Next week. I know the topic. We're going to talk about practical self-care tips. And I am going to have a really special guest. Several years ago, my skin was getting like not good, and someone recommended Varied Botanicals, this natural oil line in New York. And I've become really good friends with the woman who created it. She's amazing. She's in New York. She's going to come and talk to us about finding beauty inside and out. She's an inspiration. She's Israeli, just an entrepreneur and just an amazing soul. So she's going to join us and we're going to talk about super practical, no guilt self-care tips. So that's next week. Have an awesome the rest of your week, everyone. I will see you on all the different channels we're connected. Bye, Debbie in New York. I'll see you soon. And yeah, virtual hug, Debbie, and virtual hug to all of you. Thank you all for being part of our lives. Take good care.